Hello, people of grace. Today I want to talk about the virtue or fruit of the Spirit that is in many ways the gateway or the guard of every other fruit of the Spirit or virtue. And that is what we commonly call self control. Self control is the gateway or the attribute that allows all the other manifestations of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, etc., to manifest, because those things will only play out in our lives for as long as we maintain this self-control or self-awareness. Why is that? Well, I think one of the big reasons why that is the case is because um, however we encounter God, we cannot help but encounter him through the lens of ourself. Even when we're reading the Bible, we're reading it through the lens of our experiences, our spiritual journey, our personality. We see God through the lens of ourself. And therefore, God has to do this miracle of working within the distorted self to increasingly create at least a little bit more clarity of him. Now, even as the apostle said, we see in the glass darkly, then we will see face to face. We don't even know what we will be. We only know that when Christ appears, we'll be like him. So we admit that our awareness is partial, but it's the only awareness we have. So what is it about self-control that's so fascinating? Even John Calvin said it's hard to tell where knowledge of God ends and the knowledge of self begins, because he's basically saying what I've already said. All of our knowledge of God comes through the lens of our own consciousness. But the Bible does kind of paint this picture of self-control, or this jewel of self-control, as having at least three different parts or three different facets. The first one is just strength over yourself. This is the idea that comes out in Galatians 5, where it talks about the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, and ending in self-control, self-strength, the inner strength. That's one facet of this self-control. A second one is kind of this other self and circumstantial awareness that then allows you to choose the best course of action or the best way to engage with people. When Paul tells Timothy that God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and of love and of self-control or sound mind, that's just an ability to process self, others, and circumstances with God-given clarity, spiritual clarity. So one aspect of this self-control is inner strength. Another aspect is just awareness of self, others, and circumstances. The third one is what you could almost call the will to train. And that's the one we'll spend the most time looking at this Sunday. In Proverbs 25:28, Solomon says that like a city broken down and without walls is someone who lacks self-control. And I'm just going to keep it real brief for today, but when you really look at Proverbs 25, especially like verses 18 through 28, as Solomon walks through different situations, this idea of self-control is really what we could call, as I've already said, the will to train. I think everybody, for the most part, has a will to self-control, or you could call it a will to win. But as many coaches have said, few have the will to train. So part of self-control is embracing the process, not just begrudgingly enduring it, though that's better than quitting, but actually having a deep awareness that God is truly sovereign, that in him we live and move and have our being. If I am experiencing this thing, God is at least allowing it. So let me embrace this process and have that will to train. When we have that will to train, we begin to gain more awareness of ourselves, of others, of God, of a right course of action. And we begin to gain the strength over ourselves, our inner strength, to then carry it out. Self-control led by the Holy Spirit of God is a beautiful thing, and it is made available to us, and that's an encouraging thought. We'll talk more about it in our worship service this upcoming Sunday. Have a blessed day.